Hi, in this tutorial, we'll be looking at using the ISF editor to convert shaders from GLSLSandbox to use in ISF motion. Before beginning, you'll want to go into the ISF website and download either the Mac or Windows editor, and then run the installer. Since I already have the installer run on this machine, we'll skip over this step and jump directly to using the ISF editor. The next thing we'll want to do is select a shader to import. Once again, we'll go over to our web browser, and I created this and uploaded it to GLSLSandbox earlier today. So we'll just copy that URL, go back to the ISF editor, choose import from GLSLSandbox, enter our URL, hit OK, and you'll see that the code has been imported with some very minor changes. In particular, we can see things like the resolution name has changed and the time variable name has changed, but not much else. In this case, we can see that this extension that was needed for running in WebGL isn't needed here, so I'm just going to delete that, save, and now our shader is running as expected. So in some cases, you'll need some very minor modifications, but in other cases, it'll work fine right out of the box. Next, I'm going to delete this label for an input and add in a new input. We'll make this type color, and we'll call this our final color. We can give it a different name if you'd like, such as final color with a space. You can see how that shows up there. We can specify a default value for it. Click this picker. Click OK. And there we go. Hit save. Shader should reload. Now we have this variable, but it's not actually doing anything yet. We'll want to add it in here somewhere, so we could say final color times our final value. And there we go. We have added a variable for our output. We can now click on our picker. And you'll notice here that there's an alpha channel option here, so we'll have to specify that. But once we do that, now we can adjust our color for the shape in real time. If we want, we could add in other variables here. You can see that one of the things that happens internally here is a shape size variable. If we want, we can make that, instead of being an internal variable, we can comment that out. Add a new variable here. Call this one shape size. Give it a default value. And comment it out in the code. And now we have a slider that we can adjust for this. We can specify what we want the default value to be. So now this property can be animated. We might want to do one more of those. So we also have in here the mix point variable. So I'm going to add in another input. We'll call this one the mix point. We'll also give it a name. Mix point. And a default value. Go into the code. Comment that out. You'll notice now that we've actually gotten a read-only warning there. So we'll call this maybe our mix point variable. Make that equal to the original mix point. Now we can also adjust our mix point here. And the reason we might want to do this is now we can, instead of having these being driven by the time variable, we can use these inside of our composition in other software. So the place where this gets saved is if you switch to the load user ISFs. We'll see here's the shader that we just created. If I go in the Finder and I do Command-Shift-G, go to that directory, here's that shader. And that's the basics of importing a shader using the ISF editor.